responsible for the strategic direction and management of UBS's art collection of over 30,000 works of art, considered to be one of the most important collections of its kind. She's an art lawyer, art historian. Mary is also the author. I just got it in the mail just an hour before you all arrived, so I was power reading as much as I could. It's amazing. So it's called the Art Collection's Handbook. It's a definitive guide in acquiring and owning art, published in 2020. She has acted as an advisor to collectors, artists, estates on all issues relating to the acquisition, management, deaccessioning of private art collections, and is recognized as the leader in the field. And someone here is Mary's former student as well, which is really sweet. She was very excited she was coming. Mathew, I guess there's a Chinese wall at UBS between their two positions. Mathew's the director and art advisory specialist in the Family Office Solutions team within the Private Wealth Management. The Family Office Solutions, or FOS team, this is a hard number, holistically services, if you have $100 million, she's going to speak to you, clients in partnership with private wealth advisors. In this role, Mathew works with clients and their advisors on a consultative basis as thought partner to assess their needs and offer solutions to the suite of services focused on art collecting, collecting management, art legacy, art historical education, due diligence, process, and risk management related to collecting. Without further ado.
You were just mentioning art as an asset class.
Yes.
And as a literally commodity. How do you balance for wealth management, something that's a commodity, and you're placing a value on it that a decade or 2 decades from now might have quite a bit of gain, or it might remain steady. How do you work with your clients to create a collection that's truly valuable, not just as a commodity, but personally?
Yeah, that would be my role.
And how do you know what valuation to use? Because there's loan values, and then there's insurance values, and you can drive a truck for those two values, just to add to that.
Yeah, it's in all cases kind of depends on personal circumstances for sure and what's going on. But to answer your question about, I think that people, because I work for a financial institution, will often say, I'm being told to be louder, which I guess I'm not good at. I'm normally having one-on-one conversations. People will frequently turn to me and say like, oh, what about art as an investment? You know, how much should we invest in art? These kinds of questions. And I know that is a topic that is of mine. Some people choose to do that. We think about it a little bit differently, which is, you know, the term, it's a little bit of a buzzword, but it's a cash asset. So that this idea is something that clearly has a value. So it's important to think about it in those terms and to take care of it as something. And people often ask me as well, like, well, how much of my wealth sort of picture should I spend on art? You know, and again, it's a very personal question. But there's an interesting range that comes to mind. It could be anything, whether it's 1%, 10%. I've seen people who have leveraged themselves out to spend more than they have to buy art, you know, which I obviously would not recommend doing.
So you're an add-on service for clients, which is a nice service to have. What I wanted to ask you is, since you don't really do this as an investment, but don't you want to get the artist's best work? How do you advise clients on choosing the best work of an artist? Is it often the biggest size? How does it, you know?
Yeah, there's range. I'll quickly to tie off the question that you asked as well. So we work on sort of developing building collections. We also work on best practices around collection management, and so that's helping collectors with, they'll come and, you know, a lot of times questions will start as like 1 piece, then 12, then 50, then 500. And then I sit as part of a team that's called Family Office Solutions, so we're mostly oriented towards multi-generational families. And so we have, in addition to my role, we also have philanthropy experts and advanced planning attorneys, so we can create a plan for a client for what's going to happen to their collection from a legacy standpoint.
Which
So-
they often don't think about, right?
Yeah,
When
well-
you're collecting, and then it's only at the end where they find out their kids aren't even interested, and what do they do then,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.